Welcome back to another episode of Cozypreneur. This summer, we are focusing in on our guest speakers. And today we kick that off by talking with Dr. Leslie Baylis Davis. She is a vocal authority coach and the author of Anchored in the Wilderness. She helps entrepreneurs and leaders develop a voice that builds trust and radiates authority without being a jerk. By integrating vocal mechanics and deep leadership insights, Leslie empowers her clients to move past people-pleasing polish and command the room with a clear, grounded presence. So let's dive in. Hi, Leslie. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here, Stacy. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited to have this conversation, and I also love having former teachers on and talking about our stories. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Sure. Well, I'm Dr. Leslie Davis. I help you radiate authority without being a jerk. So that's pretty much the premise. It's really deeper alignment between the inner voice and the outer expression. So both the literal and metaphorical voice is what I work on.
I love that without being a jerk because I think that's something that I've struggled with in the past. And I think my clients have struggled with that too. Of sometimes in marketing, you have to be really blunt and direct. And sometimes it feels like you're being mean.
Yes. And then people hold back because they are feeling like they don't want to be arrogant or they don't want to be a jerk. So you don't have to be a jerk to be who you are fully and totally and radiate that with all that you are. It's just more about presence than anything. It's more about that connection piece, and deep connection builds trust, and trust radiates authority.
If somebody is working on their marketing, but they feel like they're holding back from the things that they want to say, what would you say to them?
Well, first, it's important to know why you're holding back. If there's something you want to say, then what is the thing that's holding you back from saying it? Is it confidence? Is it you don't want to hurt someone's feelings? Is it people pleasing? What is the reason why you're holding back? And once you find that, you can work through that and then decide if it's actually something you want to say. Because if it is actually something you want to say, you can come into alignment with that and then you can say it without feeling bad. But if you're not in alignment, it's not going to come out the way you want it to.
I think the people pleasing is hard, especially coming out of teaching. If you're a former teacher or like in a helping profession and you've shifted into business, the people pleasing is ingrained in the culture where you're like, just do it for the community. You're doing it because you care. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, I have to ask people for money. And so it's hard to find that balance of how do I respect my own self, right? And pay my bills and do the things that I need to do and be a strong presence, and also not feel like I'm being mean.
Yes, that is so true. And as you were saying that, I was thinking back to like how it's even set up that way. Like the between parents, community, administration, and all the things that go into what makes up a school, and how you're allowed to be present in the school and what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. And now we have that freedom in business. And yes, we have to make money with it. And it is okay to make money. And I know this is something that I'm still working on this. I am still working on it, even though, we practice what we preach and we have to walk out what we teach. And sometimes we get another level of it so that we can learn it deeper, I think. So I think that it can be hard, but what's really helped me is like, especially being in a coaching environment or offering something that is actually valuable and actually needed, that it's the mindset shift that I am offering something that you can take or leave, but it's going to benefit you. It's going to value you. This is why I spent the time. So the pleasing comes from, that's not the good kind of pleasing, comes from, this is going to be good for you. And I have what you need. And it comes from a place of conviction and something that's real versus this, I just need to get into your pocketbook and I need to make a little money. And I slapped this thing together so that I'd have a way to get money. And so if you slapped the thing together as a way to get money, of course you're going to feel bad selling it. But if it's actually valuable and you know in your heart of hearts that this really will benefit them, then as long as you've done the due diligence You can do that ask, and it's up to them whether they say yes or no.
I love that. So really, when I think about my own marketing, I think about it as an invitation. And I feel like I've had to unlearn a lot of tactics that feel really gross to me. But I love like how you framed it. Like it is an invitation and you're coming from a place of service. And that was really something that I struggled with. You know, I've been out of the classroom for 4 years now, but I really struggled with this like shift in my identity of going from I'm a teacher and I'm doing all of this good in the world and I'm really helping people to, oh, now I'm a business owner and finding my own path of, oh, I'm still helping people. It just looks different.
Yes. And if you think about it, the impact that you can have in the world through your business goes way beyond the boundaries of a classroom. And yes, the classroom is making a difference. It is in a beautiful way, but so is what you're doing out here in the world. In the classroom, you've got confinements that limit your impact. And once you're out there in the world using your voice in the way that you're created to, then that impact goes beyond the classroom. And those kids that were meant to get it will still be able to get it because we're out there. We're out there making a difference. We're out there talking to the people. Now we're adults. We still need training. We still need love. This is something that is harder to get as an adult. And we focus so much on the classroom being the place where people get it. It's not the only place. And so there's that mindset shift there too as teachers, because once a teacher, always a teacher. We're called to be teachers. We'll be teachers in the classroom. We'll be teachers in the world.
It's true. You can't leave it behind. I'm like, I love when people learn things.
It's in the DNA.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about how did you get here and become a coach, and how did you move away from the classroom?
Absolutely. So, well, I think throughout my whole journey, I've never done just teaching. So it's like we're multifaceted people, and we have lots of dreams, lots of goals, lots of things that we do in the background. And then we also have our profession. So our identity is who we are on the inside, not what we do. And so for me, that's been a process to find that. And even when I was in the classroom, I was still testing the waters on what I really wanted to be when I grow up, because the classroom didn't look like I thought it would. And especially the freedom aspect, like we're talking about the impact that we want to make. My business journey started in high school. I grew up in a family that valued business. My dad's an entrepreneur. He had his own business. And I just grew up in environments of dreaming. And my mom's side of the family, there's a lot of multi-level marketing. And so there's that aspect of business, and take it as you want to, but multi-level marketing is not for me. But it took me years to find that out. But I did learn a lot through the process. I learned about dreaming big. I learned about what it looked like to go for your goals. And I learned what it looked like to make a path and to pray into that path for yourself. And so I always said when I was a kid, I want to be a teacher and I want to sing. And those are the things that I wanted to do. And so I am so grateful because I get to do both. I'm a lead singer for a worship band, and we actively release music. Being a voice coach, also literally, is where some of the foundation of what I'm doing now came from the music, from the performance, from the wanting to be on the stage and be in the light, but never feeling like it was okay to want that. And especially in the worship space when we're doing Christian music, I never felt like it was okay for me to go after my dreams in that, because that would be self-serving. And that now I know it's not. But then I thought it was. And so I followed the traditional career path. I went through all the years of education for school, and I wound up getting my doctorate in educational leadership. And I had planned to do a higher level administration and things like that in the school. And once I got into administration, I realized that's not where I wanted to be overall, but the task that I was doing in that administrative role lit me up. It was so much fun. It was so fun to see how teachers in the classroom could come alive with just a couple of words of encouragement. And I also found that that's not how administration often works. They come down with a hard iron fist instead of the encouragement piece to lift people up. And so I really appreciated the opportunity to do that. So when I decided to go out on my own, I had to bridge the gap of all these things that were my passions: music, vocal coaching, leadership work, and teaching, all of those aspects of things, and inner healing and deliverance and pastoral counseling, all of that is in my background. And so as I was praying through my next steps, I came across a book, and the name of it was Vocal Leadership. And I was like, well, I want to know what this is. What is vocal leadership? Because it takes the vocal aspect of what I do and the leadership aspect of what I do. And he put language to the words in my heart that I had no words for. And it was the catalyst that helped me find my path. So I don't do exactly what he does, and I don't take all of his language anymore, but it gave me that movement to be able to go for what I wanted. And so now I still get to teach. I still get to work on alignment and ministry, and I want to see transformation. I want to see people grow into who they're called to be. And the thing about coaching is it's so versatile. And as we come into that I still get to teach. And so I think that's kind of, it's such a long journey of how I found this spot. And so if someone is trying to transition out of the classroom, I think the passion has to be there, but also do it slowly, because when you just jump out of it, it can be jarring. So if you give yourself a little time to transition in your heart, I think that's helpful. At least it is for me.
I talk about how I quit and I didn't have a plan after, and it was very stressful. I do not recommend quitting with no plan. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And it's funny because I'm such a planner, and I was just in denial for so long that I had to leave. And then finally, when it was like, I was like, I'm ready, I'm leaving. But I love what you said about kind of finding your path, because I do a mix of copywriting and teaching copywriting, and I also do pet sitting. And it's funny because when I look back at my whole life, like I remember being a kid and watching people walk dogs and being like, I want to do that someday. And it just like, 30 years later, here I am doing it someday. And there's just all of these pieces that I loved about teaching and seeing grown-ups work together. Like some of the best experiences I had in the classroom was around COVID, when all of the teachers got together over the summer and did all of this work. And we're like, hey, we're working together. And it was the most we ever worked together. And we created all of this really awesome stuff. And it's just like so meaningful to like give people, I guess, voice, right? Like that's what we're talking about, and empowering them. And I think so often, like as a teacher, your voice is taken away and you're just kind of told to like shut up and do the thing that people want you to do. And so like finding that in business is like, it's such an adventure. You have to explore and see what's going on.
It's so true. And just and vulnerability and stuff. And the reason that I'm not in the classroom this year is because there was a particular part in time where I was advocating for the kids, and the curriculum that we were using was so hard for them. And I taught high school English, and there's a struggle in 10th grade English. They're expected to go from reading books to literary analysis and going into creating their arguments. And I would work with them. I would sit with them and work on their coming up with their arguments so they can use their voice in the world. And there's like this big push towards technology and AI in the classroom that I had to fight as an English teacher. Like I was like, this is not your work. Let's look at this. If you're going to use AI, you've got to use it appropriately. And so even teaching that in the high school, and the school that I was at really embraced it all, which is I'm grateful for, because I learned so much through it. I wouldn't probably have even embraced anything if I hadn't been in that situation where I could see the future in it, because it was so new. This was like, I guess 2 years ago almost, or a year ago. And because I advocated for the kids, the administration felt threatened. And so they told me, we don't really care what your opinion is. Do what we say to do. Use the curriculum that we gave you. Period. End of story. No more discussion. And I could not handle that very well. I did do that, but I said, this is the last time I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do my own thing now. So I started coming in early and staying late to build my website. And I used pockets of time that were my own to streamline the things that I wanted to do to transition out of the classroom.
Yeah. So who are the people that you help? Tell me a little bit more about your work, what you do.
Okay. Yes. So I focus a lot on people who want to be leaders, who have had an experience usually that have made them feel silenced, like they're not allowed to be the voice that they feel called to be. It's the same foundation no matter what work you do with your voice. The foundation is the same. It's in human nature, and it's finding the words that you want to say. It's finding the passion inside of you, and it's aligning your identity to your authority and whatever that means for you. So I help people who use their voice for a living to be able to use it effectively and access their authority through the obedience that's available to them. And so when I do a lot of leadership work because we are called to make an impact, called to lead people. And if we keep our voices silent, or we hold back, or we're inauthentic, then we're not making the impact that we're called to make. And so the reason I do what I do is, if your voice stays silent, there are things in this world that will never happen that were meant to come through you. Whether it's somebody that you were meant to encourage or something you're actually meant to do. And if you hold back, then that person in front of you may not hear the message they need to hear. And what a tragedy it would be if somebody didn't put a spark into the great leaders of today. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., right? If somebody didn't speak life into him, where would this world be without what he did, without him using his voice and standing up and advocating from his unique situation? What if he didn't use his voice? And now, not everybody is going to make an impact like Dr. Martin Luther King, but what about his mama? The one who raised him, the one who told him, you can do this. Isn't she just as important in using her voice as he was to use his? And so that is what drives me. That is what I do. I want to be the voice behind the voice.
I love that. It's like the ripple effect. Like, you don't know who you're affecting. And so just like putting out all of this good into the world and seeing it spread.
Yes. Yes. And the impact that you can make when you're the voice behind voices. Yes, you are the voice too. But when you take it upon yourself to speak life into those around you and give them the tools that they need to do what it takes to go radiate what they need, the authority that they have within them, the podcaster who has something to say, to be able to articulate it and think through it and have the confidence to say it. So it's really a matter of knowing that the authority within you is radiating the identity that you carry fully and authentically and through vulnerability. Because when we put on the mask of culture and we try to operate out of people pleasing, it suppresses who we are. It suppresses the authority that we carry. And you don't have to be a jerk. You don't have to force your way out of the mask. You just be you, but you've got to know who you is. So you've got to do the work.
Yeah, I tell my clients, like, sometimes you have to brag on yourself a little bit. You have to be very direct about how you can help people. And I think sometimes that's hard because it feels like you're being arrogant, like you said. But it's important.
Yes. And so I think it's really important to bring people to broader categories of being able to fully radiate your authority. And the first thing is awareness. You can't change things that you're not aware of. So you have to get real with yourself and start becoming aware of the things. And it's awareness of what's going on inside. It's awareness of how you present yourself. It's awareness of the people around you. It's just total awareness. Then the next step is action. So if you can have awareness all day long and not do anything with it, and it will not take you anywhere, but you take action on it, and then you can propel the movement into where you want to. You have control. You have control of your actions, and you have control of your reactions. Nothing else is in your control. So when you have awareness, you can take action on the things that you have control over, which is you. Once you take action, that places you in the alignment, and we can move forward with confidence because we know that we're doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing right now. When we falter is when we try to move through things before we're aware, or we don't take the time to decide what it is that we need to do today. It's also a workflow thing, a strategy thing with your work. So what are my most important things I need to do today? What are my tasks? If I don't do the task, I'm not going to reach the vision. So you can have a big vision all day long, But unless you break it down into small tasks, then you're not going to reach the vision. So when you can take those little bite-sized pieces, you know the saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If your vision is the elephant, you've got to have those little bite-sized pieces. And those are the action steps of the day that put you into alignment to receive the vision that you have for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they have this idea of what they should be doing, of all the things that are on their to-do list, but it's hard to actually break them down into small steps and be like, here's the first one. And all of those tiny steps build a lot more momentum than staring at your screen and being like, where do I start? How do I do it? I'm not doing anything at all.
Yes. And when you get tired, because we're human and we get tired, when we have little steps available to us that we can move the dial forward regardless of how we feel, we can do those tasks when we're tired. And we can say, okay, I'm moving the dial. I don't have to look at the vision right now because I just need to rest. And I just went through this a couple weeks ago, and I'm traveling right now because I needed to get out of my environment a little bit to have some different kind of rest. It's not all about sleep. Sometimes it's just a visual reset. That's why we go on vacation. Vacation is such a good rest. But we still have to do those things that move the dial forward and not quit. And it's not this all or nothing thing, where this all or nothing, I have to be on doing the thing, going for it, or I've got to be sleeping and resting and not doing anything. And am I going to trust myself to come back? And that's the thing. The little things that you can keep doing, the tasks that are going to keep moving the dial forward while you're taking a step back to rest, and then trusting yourself that we do operate in seasons and you will be on again.
Yeah, that's so important. That was definitely a life lesson after leaving teaching, was like finding that balance a little bit more and not just working constantly.
And I think it's hard for teachers because we operate like that, right? We're on for the school year and then we're off in the summer. And some people keep working through the summer, but most people are like, I'm done. I'm resetting, nothing. But then it's hard when we come back to the school, the classroom before. We have to find our rhythm again. We have to find it again. And it's just the way it operates. And most people operate like that. And so I did work for a school district where they had like poolside development, professional development. And I loved the way they put that together, because they were like, do some of these things so that you're ready when you come back, but do it by the pool. Do it outside. You don't have to come into the classroom to get this professional development. You can look at this right here and enjoy your kids in the pool. And I love.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Cozypreneur. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a review and share with your biz besties. Thanks again for listening, and until next time. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Cozypreneur. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a review and share with your biz besties. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.
Loved that because it kept my head in the game to a point where I wasn't stopping completely, but it got me out of the environment and it still gave me the reset that I needed, and I could go at my own pace. And that taught me something about how the summer can be versus just all or nothing.
Yeah, I think what's so tricky, like, it's funny, now I work year round, right? Mm-hmm. But I never get this feeling anymore of, like, when you're teaching, you're counting down the days till your next vacation, and you're counting down the days until summer, and then you get like 4 weeks of summer where it's awesome, and then the next like 2 to 3 weeks, you're just already ramping up and thinking about all the things you have to do and how do you get back in the classroom, and I have meetings that I have to go to. And now I never really get this anxiety of like, how many days till my next vacation? Like, if I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel burnt out, I have the space to be like, I need to dial it back. I need to maybe do a little bit less next week, or take something off of my calendar and move that forward. I mean, last week I was like, I'm not sending an email to my list this week because I'm feeling burnt out. I haven't really had days off. I'm taking a day off. You know, my business is not going to burn down if I don't send an email this week. It's going to be okay. I will send it next week. And just being able to like reframe things like that and Yeah, it's just super interesting. Like my baseline is just so different than it used to be.
I love that you bring that out because it's so true. And it fits right into that all or nothing. Instead of being in all or nothing, let's be in a flow. Let's give and take. Let's ebb and flow. If I need to ebb a little, that's okay. And if I'm in the flow, lean into it. Go into it. We have things in business that we do have countdowns for, like launches or big pushes, things like big sales that we want to have, or a new book that we're releasing, or a new coaching program that we're about to launch. And there's creation mode in that. But like you said, nobody's really holding you to that deadline but you. And you have the control to say, I need to ebb a little here. And I'm going to for my book, for example, and just make my deadline more realistic. I thought I was going to release my book last year. I was like, I'm writing this book. I'm getting it out. I'm pushing. I was pushing. I was in the grind trying to get this book out. And then I heard the Lord say, what if I asked you not to release that until spring? And I was like, I don't want to hear that right now. I'm in the middle of this. I'm trying to get it done and I want to get it out of my hands. This baby needs to be born. And he's like, really? How's that going for you? And I was like, okay, this is an invitation to rest here, and I can accept it or not, but I'm either going to be pushing against sandpaper to try to get this thing done. I'm going to be totally burnt out, or I can ebb a little so that I can flow when it's time. And so I did. I did not release my book until April. So it's only been out like a month, and I was almost finished back in last November, and I was pushing and pushing, but there were so many elements to it that I did not realize. Steps I had to take, different publishing aspects of it that needed to happen. And I was pushing against a deadline that I did not realize did not need to be there. And so I had the freedom to say, no, this book is going to happen. I'm going to pull back a little bit and release it with the right intention. And I think, like you said, with the school, we just don't really have that. We have to get this much done before testing so that they can have everything that they need for their test. And then it's a free for all for the last week of school. Why are we even here? And then we crash and burn because we are exhausted and we had no choice but to push through.
Oh, I feel like I slept for an entire year when I quit teaching. Like,
yeah,
just
exactly. That it takes so long to recover from that burnout, and I'm coming up to the year mark of being out of the classroom, and so it's definitely been interesting, to say the least. And I would not say business has been easier, but it's been very different. And like you said, that baseline is different, and it's a whole learning curve, and so we have to give ourselves the grace for that transition, and it takes longer than what we think it's going to.
Yeah, it's a very different kind of challenge.
I really appreciate when people say, or I hear things of like, this is how long it took me to get to here where I am today. I was here and now I'm here, and this is working for me. And some people say it's 3 years. Some people say it's 5 years. Some people say it's been 15 years. And here I am thinking, is this worth it at a year of this new thing? Like, I've been in business my whole life. I've been doing aspects of what I'm doing now for my whole life. But this particular direction that I've been going with the new book and the coaching program and the voice behind the voice is still fairly new for me. And so when I see that, I'm like, okay, I'm on track. Because sometimes I just feel like, am I failing at this? And I think that's where we can get lost in where people are not being authentic, because it makes us feel like we're always behind when we're really not. We're right on time. We just can't give up.
And it's not linear too, right? Like,
exactly.
Sometimes it's going to be great and then it feels like you're going backwards, but then actually you're still building up, but it's not a straight line. So
yes, that cyclical work is so important, because in May I was like, am I going to be able to keep up with my business? And then I had to intentionally say, okay, I'm not taking calls for this much. I'm only going to take this much a time because I need sustainability.
Yeah, that's a big goal for me is sustainability. What can I actually, and it's always doing less than I think I can do. I always have really big ideas and I always have to scale them back.
Yes, big ideas and pushing through them and realizing what is for today and what is for the parking lot.
Exactly. All right. Well, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Just that in all of the talk of transition, and all of the talk of the ebb and the flow and the all or the nothing, just to have for everyone to have some encouragement that one, we're not doing this alone. We don't have to do this alone. Put the people in your corner that need to be in your corner. Go have a place to go when you need encouragement, when you need a little push into a positive direction, when you're feeling a little low, because it happens. And then find what works for you. Focus on the task and don't get overwhelmed with the big goal. And I do have a guide if people want to help work with this to develop a voice that builds trust and radiates authority. And it takes you through these 3 steps of auditing where you're at internally and how you're showing up externally, and a couple of key things that you can do to be able to step into that a little bit more effectively and authentically, and to give yourself a little audit and what to do with it. So that guide, you can get it at gift.mindshifttll.com/guide. So it's a little gift for you. And if you need help walking through any of those things, just let me know and I can help.
Yeah, I will link it in the show notes. And where can people find you if they want to connect?
I'm present in most places. I'm not very active on social media. It's not where I put most of my time and energy, but I do have social media profiles. So Leslie Bayless on Instagram, Dr. Leslie Davis on Facebook, and you can find me there. It may take me a minute to get back to a DM, but I will eventually. But you can email me and I'll get right back to you. So that's Leslie at Mindshift LL. That's Mindshift Leadership and Learning is what that's for. So there's also my website is mindshifttll.com, and you can get my book from there too, anchored.mindshifttll.com. All of those places are great places to connect with me. I have a community group that's free, and you can also visit me at my podcast on authentic voice leadership.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I will link all of those below. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Stacy. I always have a good time speaking with you and hearing your experiences and stuff like that. So thank you.
Too. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Cozypreneur. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a review and share with your biz besties. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.